Hello, my loves. Welcome to another brand new episode of the Becoming You podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about, can breathwork help you become a better parent? So let's get into it. The very short answer, if you want to turn off the podcast right now, is absolutely yes. Breathwork can help you become a better parent. First of all, I have lived experience, meaning that I have lived through this experience of becoming a more grounded parent because of breathwork. So now, first of all, let's decide, what does a better parent mean? For me, I was never proud of the way I parented. I never really questioned it to begin with. It was just how I had been parented. I think a lot of us don't ever question why we do the things we do. We just do it because it's automatic. We just think that's just the way it is. So I used to parent a certain way, right? Which was not super disciplinary and authoritative, but anytime my kids wouldn't listen, after a few asks, I would raise my voice, I would get angry, I would nag. The nagging is the thing that drove me up the wall. It was just exhausting as a parent to just keep asking over and over and over and not feel like you are getting through. And then I also felt that as a result of that kind of constant being on their backs, I was chipping away at their ability to think and operate for themselves, to make sound decisions for themselves. And the thought that I would keep coming back to is, how are they going to operate as adults if I am telling them exactly what to do and making all the decisions and expecting them to, in a way, obey me? Not that they were scared of me, but I certainly, expected them to obey me. And what I really wanted, as I started on my spiritual transformation and my journey, was for them to get them to think for themselves, because I realized how empowering thinking for myself was and how many constraints and invisible limiting beliefs I had been living under without question. And I did not want to pass that on to my kids. But it's one thing for you to live it yourself, and then now to figure out, how do I teach my kids that, or how do I empower my kids in the same way? So around that same time, we went through some really big struggles with one of our kids, and that will be his story to share in detail. But when I say struggle, I don't mean just like the normal struggle. It was above that. And so we had to get external help and support and therapy and counseling to help us with that. But as a result of the challenges and the season of his life he was going through, it really affected the quality of life for everyone at home, because his challenges that he was experiencing internally would manifest in ways outside in the house, right? Which then would affect my mood, my husband's mood, the siblings' mood. And it was a heavy, heavy time in our family at that time. And it was so heavy that I was at a loss for what to do. We all were. And it created an increasing amount of duress and stress in our home, and really affected everybody's well-being and stress levels, right? And that's hard. And I'm sure as the person who's causing that, right, my son also felt it, because obviously, he was at a level that he understood that he couldn't control what he was going through, but it was causing pain and suffering to other people. So he was in the worst position of all, because he was like, I don't know how to help myself, but I'm also hurting the people that I love, and I can see that I'm hurting them, but I don't know what else to do, right? That's the position we were in. So along came breathwork. That was the time I enrolled as a coincidence to do my facilitator program. And as I started, again, it was always focused on me and my internal world. And this program focused a lot on inner child healing, and just healing our internal world, right? And parts of it was inner child. And I realized that as I did more and more breath work and really worked on healing my own insecurities and fears and beliefs, the restrictions and constrictions in my life, the, like, what do we say? Like the bands that we put around our own life, the boundaries, the invisible, this is as far as I can get, right? Or this is as far as I can go kind of rules that we put in our own lives. As I started breaking through each one of those in my breathwork session, I started realizing that I was parenting in a different way, not because like it was directly related, but because I was learning to deal with my nervous system, right? Okay, so let's get into nervous system regulation. So a better parent, going back to my original question, for me means that you are calm, not 100% of the time, but most of the time, majority of the time, you are calm, you are patient, you don't take on your child's moods, like you don't absorb it and internalize it and then react to it, right? And you always maintain the role of, like, I know, then you maintain the role as an adult. How often do we argue with our children and turn into a child ourselves? Like, I've done that very often. And you are helping your child from what I call your embodied self or your future self or your higher self, like the way you want to parent instead of the way you wish you could parent, right? So most of us tend to react and fly off the handle, regret it, and then tell ourselves, I'll do a better job next time. I know this is what I need to do. And then we parent from, and then the cycle repeats itself. What we want to do is be able to catch ourselves in the moment and not do the harmful things, what we feel shame about afterward in the moment. Okay. So that's what I mean by a better parent. Everybody's a good parent. We're all trying to do our best. So this is not meant to come off as judgment on you. But I know that if you're listening to this episode, there's a part of you that wishes that you had better control of your emotions and your triggers so that you did not unintentionally, it didn't come out in your parenting, right? If that's you and you're listening and you can, raise your hand. So how does breath work link into parenting? I'm sure people are struggling to understand that part. Okay. So the thing that you need to understand about parenting is that, every action and decision that you make, everything is driven by the construct of your internal world, right? However you interpret the world and how it works and the rules that you live your life by and how you believe the world works will be reflected in your parenting. So if you believe there's a rule that says you have to work really, really, really hard in life to be successful. Hard work is the most important thing. Those are two different rules, right? Hard work is the most important thing. You have to work really hard to be successful. Okay. So if you have those two rules that you live by and your child, then you're going to parent from that viewpoint, which means that if you see your child slacking off, or if you see your child not valuing hard work, it's really, really going to trigger you, right? So when you see them come in from school, there's homework, and they don't get to it, or they blow it off, or they barely spend any time on their homework, right? Like they kind of just skim through it. And so you might be really triggered by that. And on a day that you're having a bad day, right, where maybe work hasn't gone well, you've had a fight with your spouse, and you see your child just being like, nah, I don't want to do my homework today. And all they did was that. And now you ask them a couple of times, did you do your homework? Did you do your homework? And they're like, nope, I don't want to. I'm not going to. And they're being mean about it, right? They're being disrespectful. Their attitude isn't that great. And then the next thing you know, you're like yelling at them, being like, you do this all the time. You never want to do your homework. Like, you are so lazy, right? And we say all of these things that come out of our mouths. And then either the child, now comes back with an argument, or they skulk off. They feel really bad, or now they're in tears. And the whole situation just leaves an awful taste in your mouth. And then you're like, why did I do that? That was awful. So over the course of a few years, you send now the information to your child that hard work is the most important thing, and not showing, demonstrating hard work then somehow, some way, like it's not going to work out well for them. Right. And we don't ever do all of this directly. It's all done in such subtle, passive ways, at least in my experience with my parents, right? They weren't super authoritative parents, but there are some parents that were overtly that way, where they will shame you and they will belittle you. I work with a lot of clients where they've just had the most traumatic childhood, where their parents just did not show up for them the way a child is meant to have parents, right? And so we do a lot of work in our coaching and our breath work to heal that trauma. So when it comes to your own, so this is how the rules that you live by in your own life will affect your parenting, right? And I wrote this on a Facebook post that most of us tend to parent from fear and not from love. Because if you have a value that hard work is one of the most important things in life, and you look at your child and you gauge that they're not working hard enough, then the fear within you is that they're not going to be successful, right? So now all the things that you tell them to do to be a hard worker comes from a place of fear. Even though you love them deeply and want the best thing for them in life, you parent from fear. I was parenting from fear, right? Most of us parent from fear. Just think about the things that you tell them. Don't cross that road. Don't eat that. I say that all the time. Don't eat that. That's not good for you. So that's parenting from fear, right? I'm not perfect in all the areas. So we're always cautioning our kids to not do this, not hold yourself back, but, just watch out for that. And don't hang out with that person. Don't start that. Don't stop this, right? We're all parenting from fear because we all live in fear most of the time. That sounds really dramatic, but most of us live in fear of success, fear of failure, fear of not being good enough, fear of feeling unworthy, fear of not being confident enough, fear of being judged, fear of what if that person doesn't like me? So most of us live in mild or high states of fear. Okay. And so summarizing what we've talked about so far, most of us parent from a place of fear, and we tend to parent based on the rules and the beliefs that we have in life. Okay. And I was in that same space. And when I started doing breath work, two things happened. One, I was able to regulate my nervous system, right? And the reason I was able to regulate my nervous system was because I was able to let go, release and heal a lot of my internal fears, insecurities, and micro and macro trauma, okay? So a nervous system is like the thing that controls our bodies, right? Our movements, our breath. Our nervous system is connected to like a digestive system, neurological system, everything. So you might have now, there's big hype around nervous system regulation. And what that really means is your ability to regulate your body and your responses when things outside of you are not going great. They're not ideal, right? What I mean by that is like, think about an ambulance, right? And the EMT that work on the ambulance. When they get to an accident to help an injured person, a common person like you and I will panic. Our nervous system will get jacked up because we see all the chaos and the blood and the injury and a person hurt. And we go into fear mode. And we're like, oh my God, I don't know how to help this person, right? And we might run away. We might start yelling at people and be like, oh my God, somebody help, somebody call 911. And we're not actually doing anything productive to help the person, right? Or we might freeze at the sight of this person. So those three things happen. Or hopefully you're not one of those people who gets out the phone and starts recording, right? But then an EMT, they will go right into action and take care of what needs to be done to save that person's life. And the reason for that is because obviously they have trained for it, right? They know exactly what to do. They have the skills. But their nervous system, they've actually trained their nervous system on how to stay calm no matter the situation. right? And what I mean by nervous system is that our nervous system is made up of, like I said, everything in our bodies, right? Our thoughts, like how fast your brain works, your breath, your digestive state, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The main thing that sends signals to your nervous system in your body is your breath. The minute your breath changes, your body immediately picks up on it and goes, oh, I notice a change in the breath pattern. How do I need to respond? So when our breath is deep and relaxed, we are able to make better decisions. We have access to more parts of our brain to make better decisions. We are more relaxed. We are able to receive more. We're able to connect better with people. Our heart rate is slower. Our eyes take in more light. Okay. All of these incredible things happen when our nervous system is in a regulated state. Okay. When it's in a dysregulated state, our body takes its cues again from our breath. Our breath then becomes tight and shallow. Oftentimes in a dysregulated state, we actually hold our breath and clench our breaths. And when that happens, the body goes, oh, something's not right here. There's fear, there's danger. So it starts to shut down certain things because now it's trying to conserve energy. Okay. Because it now believes that you are not safe. So when it's conserving energy, it literally shuts down pumping blood to certain parts of our brain because, the more blood that flows into your brain, the more like consciousness you're able to access, right? Like you're able to think clearer, more creative, etc. But when your body believes it's in danger and it needs to save you, it's like, we don't need to do all of that creative stuff right now. We're just trying to survive. So it starts to restrict the blood flow to certain parts of your brain. And so you're not thinking as clearly. The decisions you're making are now panic. And, they're short term as opposed to long term, this is why when we are like hungry, we make the worst decisions when it comes to food, right? Because we are so like hungry, and hunger means danger, right? Like that's survival. And so we just grab the next thing. So when you're hungry, you're in a dysregulated state. So a lot of things can cause you to be in a dysregulated state. Not enough sleep, not enough water, not enough nutrition, fights with people, all of these things can cause dysregulation. So your breath is one of the main things that you have access to either go into a regulated state or be in a dysregulated state. So how does this apply to parenting? So putting the two things that we've talked about so far, which is our kids tend to trigger us, right? Because if they don't live by the rules that we live by and do the things that we want them to do, there's a part of us that feels wounded, right? So if they don't have the same values as you do, they just came out of the womb having different values to you, right? Some kids do. If you believe that particular value is really, really, really important, and your child continues to behave in a way that opposes that, unless you have done the work of healing that wound that gets created every time somebody opposes it, you will continue to be triggered and, based on the situation of like parent, and just it comes out in unintentional ways, right? So an example of this could be, let's say that you had a parent figure that often yelled at you, okay? And like raising their voice for you created fear, right? Like you lived in fear of your parent and you did everything you could to not upset them. You maybe walked on eggshells a little bit. And you kind of just try to stay out of the way because you don't want the wrath of your dad being upset at you and yelling at you. And now you have your own family, okay? And now your kid is a yeller, right? And your kid and your father are two very different people. But when your kid yells on a day that you are fine, like it doesn't bother you, right? But then after the second, third, fourth time of yelling, you're like, please stop yelling at me. Please stop yelling at me. And they don't, right? And the fifth time they do it. And then you just look back and you go, I said, stop yelling at me, right? And then like you say some other things that you don't mean to, and all this stuff just comes tumbling out of your mouth. And then you feel terrible, right? So what actually happened there is that you are not reacting to your child as a parent in that moment. You were reacting as your 4-year-old or your 7-year-old self who was being yelled at by their parent, right? That 4-year-old and that 7-year-old felt really panicked, felt really scared, right? And so he or she maybe did not have the power when they were that age, or the courage or the permission to yell back at their dad, right? So all that anger, that powerlessness that child felt would have been suppressed in that moment, right? And over the years, this would have built up, this compounds, right? So now maybe anybody else yelling at you maybe doesn't bother you, but for some reason your child yelling at you triggers the crap out of you, right? And so now it comes out at dinner time because that kid is yelling, I don't want my piece. Like, I don't want to eat those. Like, maybe it's not that small a child, right? Maybe it's like a 9-year-old yelling and screaming at you. This is a very small example, right? Or, and that's why healing your wounds is extremely important for parenting. Now, it's not enough just to know the cognitive domino effect of it. It's not enough to know, oh, it's because I had, a parent that didn't make me feel safe when I was growing up that now I react to my child this way. Knowing it is great. That's always the first step. It brings awareness, but we don't always have to know it. And a lot of people, depending on the type of childhood you've had, don't always know why, like, they have certain reactions, right? Because they've had a traumatic childhood, they block out memories and they don't always remember specific things and they're not able to make the connection. But that's actually okay because that's why breathwork comes in, right? So now when you do breathwork as a healing modality, your breath holds these emotions, these memories. Most people don't believe it, but every single event that has happened in your life, whether you remember it in your memory or not, your body does. And based on whether or not you had the tools to process it and release it at the time, right? If you had the tools, if you had a parent that could help you process things, then you would have let it go from your psyche and your essence and your system. But if you didn't have the tools, which most of us don't have, it gets trapped inside of you, right? We hold on to it. Your body holds on to it as memory of, oh, this happened. Let's hold on to this. One, because I don't know how to let it go. Like I'm hurt. Like this actually hurt and I'm going to make it mean something about me. And then I'm also going to store it so that the next time it happens, I have data to know how to act on it, right? In a way that actually serves as well because it helped you survive up until this point. But it doesn't serve us anymore to hold on to it, right? And so that's the reason why breathwork is so important, because even though your mind might not remember the specific memories, your body remembers it. And through breathwork, we can help your body release it. And that is exactly what happened to me as I started to do breathwork. I started to release so much of what I knew cognitively. Like I've done inner child work for a very long time. And I worked through, like all sorts of traumatic things, moving countries, having a chronic disease, but also, being teased as a child for being too dark-skinned, facing bullying, facing racism, having experienced sexual assaults. Like I have gone, right? I've experienced a lot of micro and macro trauma. And as I started doing inner child healing, I realized that I was starting to let go of things from my body, not just processing it on a brain and a mind level of this happened. So I've let go of things during meditation as well. And obviously all of those things help. Every single thing helps, right? But what I have found through breathwork is that it has helped at the deepest level of transformation. Like things have actually stuck and it feels easier now. When I say things have stuck, like breathwork has stuck with me and the changes have stuck with me. So as I started healing my inner child, one of the most profound things that happened was I started allowing her to express so much of suppressed anger and rage and pain and suffering from my body, right? From my body. I keep repeating that because I thought I had released all of this anger and rage and pain and suffering. I had from a cognitive level, but I had not released it from my body. So as I started doing breath work, all of that stuff started coming out. And then when I started to parent, I was able to hold space for my son as he was expressing anger and rage and pain and suffering. Right? What I didn't realize was I was rushing to fix him and make his feelings go away unintentionally because I was scared. Right? When he was having these kind of outbursts, I was, feeling fear and terror and sadness and wondering, how do I help him? And I was in a scared place. So as I started doing breath work, I was still in a scared space, right? It's not that I didn't feel scared, but I was also able to tap into a grounded place at the same time. So things started to happen simultaneously. And I was starting to regulate myself, even though I would be scared and my breath and I'd be like crying. I would come back to my breath and be like, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be okay. And it's not just the breath work, right? It's the healing that happened, but also the regular breath work. So it was a combination of the two. And as I started holding space and being really patient with him and compassionate, he started, the amount of time that he was feeling those feelings started reducing in his meltdowns, right? And now this has been going on. I've been doing breath work for now close to 3 years. So the more regularly I do breath work, the daily practice, it's like brushing teeth, almost a daily practice. It's like brushing teeth. I find that I have so much patience for my kids. Why? Because they don't trigger me as much. My switch to go from I'm not annoyed, I'm in a really calm space, to now I'm getting really annoyed, that time length has gotten really long, right? And why? It's because I'm able to regulate my nervous system. I have healed my inner child. I have learned to accept her. I give her so much room to express herself. I have so much compassion for her fears. I have so much just empathy and compassion for everything that she does and experiences. And as I do more and more and more of that, guess what? I can create that for my own children, right? Because they're also children. When I spend time in breath work with my inner child, I am spending time with the child, understanding her, walking in her shoes, listening to her, talking to her. And so now I can translate that into real life. And I see my own inner child in my own kids' eyes, and I deeply understand them. That internal connection to my own inner child and through breath work has transformed my parenting and has made me a much more grounded, open, safe, empathetic, compassionate parent. Like I said, I am not a perfect parent, but this is how breathwork has changed my life. And with that, I want to let you guys know that I don't think breathwork is a nice to have. I think breathwork is a must have for every single human and every single parent. And I also don't believe that we are here to mold our children into who we think they ought to be. We are here to allow our children to become who they came here to be. And it's our job to guide them. It's our job to guide them. And doing breath work and allowing breath work to heal my own triggers and my fears now allows me to be a guide for them instead of like a disciplinarian, right? When we are disciplinarians, we believe we have all the answers and we know what's right and wrong. I don't believe I know everything there is to know about the world. And I don't believe I know everything that is right and wrong for my own children, right? The more you connect with yourself through breath work, the clearer you become on who you are and what is important to you and what makes you tick. You release all the crap that is holding you back from being your best self. And you start to feel the freedom you feel. And guess what? You're like, I want everybody to feel the way I feel. I want everybody to feel as good as I feel on a daily basis, most especially my children. And so when you become your more embodied self, right? Your higher self through breath work, you have the space and the ability and the capacity to now let your children become that, to help them become their best self. And you realize the way I became my best self was not by other people giving me answers, right? I have to find my own answers. That's part of the work I've done through breathwork as well, is to always tap into me to find out what is best for me, what feels good to me, what is my intuition telling me. And so as I do that, I want to give that gift to my kids. And the way I do that is to allow space for them to figure it out on their own. I want them to not walk in fear. I want them to realize, hey, the world is my oyster and everything is available to me. And if I just trust myself enough, I get to where I want to go. All right. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I hope this episode blew your mind as to why breathwork is required for you to step up level your parenting. And if you love this episode, I want to invite you to sign up for my free 5-day breathwork series that I am designing specifically to help you become the parent that you've always wanted to be. I'm designing 5 days of short breathwork, they're not long, to help you become the calm, grounded, patient, compassionate parent. And like I said, breathwork is one of the tools to help you get there. It's not the only tool, but it is one of the key tools. And so if you want that, the link to sign up for it is in the show notes. Go ahead and sign up. And we start in the middle of April. I believe it's April 15th. But I'll definitely put the right date in the show notes. And I cannot wait to help you guys with this. All right. I love you guys so much. Take care.